I'm going to grab this tree. And then I'm going to grab one of these leaves. So I'll grab this one. And they're grouped, I think. There it is. So I'm going to go. You can see, look, see how the leaf is outlined? Plus I have this bar. When I go Control H, all I have is the outline bar. All I have is this. I don't have the interior stuff. So that's where it shuts it off. But anyway, let's make this smaller. Make it like that. And I'm going to go over here. Right here, this little, whatever that's called, clove, whatever it is, that card symbol. I'm going to click this. I'm going to get this little palette and I'm going to drag this in here. Oops. Now, new symbol, I'm going to say leaf. And I'll say maple. It's not a movie clip. It's a graphic, static symbol. That should be fine. And don't worry about that. I'm going to sit OK. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need it. And then I'm going to go over here and there's this little spray can icon right there. Now, if I click, by the way, these things and I hold it and I go over to this bar, it'll pull out the toolbar. And in this case, I want the toolbar out here. So there's a series of tools in here. So we're going to go first to this little spray can. And it's going to spray that little symbol everywhere. Now, there's a series of tools in here that do different things, okay? This moves them around just sort of in a clunky general way. I actually like them better the way they were. So that just sort of moves them around. This one scrunches them. Or if I hold Option, it puts them back out. So it goes in or out, okay? Gathers or dissipates. This one sizes them. So I can come in here and make some of them bigger or hold Option, make some of them smaller. I'm going to go to now the size of my brush. If I go to the left bracket, it'll go smaller. And if I go to the right back bracket, it'll go bigger because I only want to affect some of these. I'm going to go to Option, make them smaller, make a couple smaller. That way they're not so uniform. And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to put a couple. Well, then this one spins them. So if I have some like these that are going the wrong way, I can spin them. There, starting to work. I want these to spin around. And some of these. So I can work these. I can work these until I get them facing the right way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, close
Yes.
enough for now. There we go. So it's actually opposite. Yeah. It's weird. The arrows actually, oh, that's because of the way I put it in the symbol thing. That's why. So you got to look at the little arrow. It tells you really which way it's going. So these. That's a little better. Yeah, that's better. And then I would do the same thing to this little one down here. Okay, and then, so that's spinning them. This one, let's pick a color here. So let's pick a little bit of an orangey kind of thing. And this is a stainer thing. you can see it just stains them, tints them with a color. Can you guys see that?
Yes, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So let's go to a lighter one. And then let's go to let's try this bricky red thing. So I can stain them. However I want to do them, okay? Even, let's see if I can get away with this. Yeah, some that are turning, that are going purple, blah, blah, blah. And this one is a screener, which means I could go maybe on some of these back ones. And if you notice as I hit them, they fade. So maybe on the ones that feel like they're in the back of the, on the other side of the tree, I could turn them a little bit more transparent. And then I get this little bit of sense of depth to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
yes.
Like this one here, these here, they're all the same size, which I don't like. So I'd probably size these down. So I'm going to hold Option. Go smaller. Yeah, that's a little better.
Can you review how you pulled the spray can toolbar out of the main toolbar? Like, do you just drag it?
No, you just go, see this little bar over here, right here?
Oh, okay.
If I just, click and hold and then do that, it just comes off the thing.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. It kind of happened fast. And I'm like, how did he just do that?
Yeah, you just click, hold, and go over, just grab like you're going to grab the bar and let go of it, and it'll just pop off. That makes sense?
Thank you. Yeah.
This last one, don't worry about this last one here. This is just something for the symbol thing. We'll talk about that later. Now, there's a bunch of things you can use this for. Now, another thing I could do is maybe, and I don't know. Let's try this. And I'm going to go to Effect, these things we were talking about yesterday, distort and transform. I'm going to go to Roughen and see what I get. Now, let's say, I don't know if it'll do both. Let's see. Let's try zigzag. No, that's too much. But I could come in here and create some sort of, now notice again, it's showing the original outline. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Because I applied a filter to it, okay? So if I come up here in info, I think it's info. No, it is, I think it might be properties actually. Properties. Yeah, right here. Man, I'm trying to find where the hell is it? Here it is. So here's what I did to it. Here's the fill. Here's the zigzag. Here's the roughen. So I could take these things and I could throw them out. Or I could come back and start to mess with them again. Okay, but everything lives in this appearance. That's it. It's appearance. I'm sorry, not properties. But I could take, so I'm going to go expand appearance like we did with our image trace thing. That'll make it back into a regular shape. Then I'm going to go to my smooth tool. And I would finesse this a lot more. I'm just doing it quick. But what I could do we'll send this to back. And I could probably find some kind of overall color here. where I could start to maybe, that's not it. Let's try this. Where I could start to sort of group this together and get a big mass and then have the leaves just be danced over the masses. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes, wow.
And you know, I'd finesse it a lot more, obviously. Oops,
So basically you're, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
So basically you're using those block shapes to get the overall tree leaves pattern. Then you just go ahead with the pattern brush to give the leaf details, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing you do with painting.
Oh, okay, so basically that's just a base color, but then we add on top the
Yeah, and then you
detail.
dance on top. Now I'd have to finesse this. I'm trying to think of here's a really good one. See, look, this is exactly right, right here. He's got a clump, and then he gives you a leaf, 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 leaf. But the rest of it are masses, leaf, sort of broken edges that imply leaves and leaves here. But the rest of it are masses. Does that make sense? So I could do something like that. Now I'd have to finesse it a lot more here. But what's nice about it is you could sort of block things out and then spray your leaves around and make it feel more complex. And now it really shows me like what I got to fix on these leaves and how many I need. I probably need some more. It's just a nice way to do it. And again, everything just comes from painting as far as I'm concerned. And then I could go. Let's go here. You know, I could get this thing to lay down the right way. Now we just eliminate some of this. Oops. This wasn't a compound path, I guess, which is weird. Let's try this. There it is. Send this to the back. And then if I had a ground plane here. And go to my gray value and go to multiply. And we could get a little shadow value. I'd probably pull that way back. That make sense?
Yes.
Now, when you do it, you don't have to do this masses if you don't. If you want to play with that, go for it. That's up to you. Here's another thing, just so you know. I don't have to bring that in. I could come in here and go, I can make my own. My reflect tool. Oops, get a little closer. My white arrow tool, loop over that, Control J, which is under your Pathfinder or under Object Path. And it's join, Command J for join. Then I'm just going to take, let's take this and go. Now, if I want to make sure I get that middle, then I can turn on my smart guides, which is, I think, Control U. Where is it? I'm just going to do Control U. Hang on. Right there, it's telling me intersect. So that means that's in the middle. Then I'm just going to go here. I'm just going to cut that right there. And I think I'll just turn this to a multiply. See if that'll work. Actually, I'll do it this way this time. Let's do it this way. Let's go to color. And just darken it a little bit. You know, and then I could put my whatever on it. And I'm going to go to my, I'm going to turn this into a line. I'm going to go to whatever you call that. Width tool. I'm going to outline that stroke, objects, path, outline strokes, and now it's just a shape. Send it to the back. I'm just going to group it. Go back over to my palette or my symbols palette. New symbol, my leaf. It's not a movie clip, it's a graphic, and static symbol's fine. Rid of that. Go back over to my symbol tool. Oh, that's the wrong tool. Here it is. And that'll spray that one. Okay, one thing that's interesting here, if I make a color, I can come over here, and I might have just touched on this. I don't think I did though. And I can come right here to my color guide. And what it's going to do is right now, I think I have it on, you can see on this little, it has a little flyout menu right here. Harmony rules, it says. I never knew that name. And I've got it on monochromatic. So what it's doing here is giving me tints and shades all monochromatic. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
It's really handy. I know that sounds really simple, but if I want to do something monochromatic, I don't want to sit here and think about it. I just want it to do it.
So basically it gives you its gradient scale, essentially.
Yeah, more or less, from shades to tints. Right?
Yeah.
But I can go here, select this, and now I could go basically through the color theory spectrum, right? So I could go shades, you know, gives me this. I could go to this color scheme. I could go to, let's do this. Let's go to just a green again. And if I go to my color thing, I can go complementary, and it'll gives me tints and shades of my complements. Obviously green and red are complements. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I can go complement is another complementary, split complementary, left complement, right complement, analogous. That's really helpful. All the things that are near it on the color wheel. So basically all your color theory kind of stuff, it'll just give you an instant palette to start with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's just called color guide. Okay. So again, it's under your windows like all your other palettes. Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
You're very emphatic. Okay. Now, here's another thing that we wanted to get to. Down here, past your swatches and all that. Of course, now it's not giving it to me. Hang on. I can go to swatch libraries. And I'm going to go to color books. And then it has all these different color books. They don't really matter. I mean, in different things, but commercially, people are using the Pantone book. That's the only one I've ever used my whole career. So I'm going to go to CMYK coded. Now, Pantone has a million different color books. They'll have pastel, they'll have foil, they'll have metallics, they'll have coated and uncoated, which is just referring to coated and uncoated stock. So matte and not matte, matte and glossy or whatever. It's just, they just got a ton of them. Okay. Then they also have, which I don't have here, I don't think, I think it's in my office. They also have fan books, they have chip books, they have all that stuff. Okay. They're just the color people. Okay. So if I open this up, Pantone CMYK coded. Now what we should be in here, let's check. So I'm going to go to my color right here, not my color guide, but just my color, the little palette. And you can see I'm in CMYK. This is your color mix breakdown. Does this make sense?
Yes.
So we have 80% cyan, 0 magenta, 80% yellow, and 0 black. So that's the two colors in this percentage that are creating this. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're in cyan, or we're in CMYK. Now, we've talked about what that is. Does everybody remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
That's our plates, right? When we're printing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I come in here and I have, I don't know, package design, let's say, and I've got elements on the package design, and all these elements are, CMYK, okay? But then I've got the whatever. I always use Starbucks as an example because they have kind of a weird green. Here's the Starbucks logo, and it is Pantone. If you notice, if I go over these, it gives me the numbers. That's weird. That's a different number. Huh. Anyway, I can also come up here and go, I should be able to go. And there's 133. It should be in here somewhere, and it's giving me the ones nearby. Here, let's just say this. So let's say, let's do this one. Let's say that the Starbucks logo is Pantone 133C, okay? So now I've got, if we look at our color wheel here, or our color guide or whatever, where'd it go? Here it is. Here, you can see the mix. Then here it jumps to Pantone 133, which means it's a, oh, they changed their licensing policy, by the way. Okay. What that's telling me now is I have a spot color in that file. Does that make sense?
Oh, I see. Yes.
So what does that mean? It means it's going to generate another plate. Okay. Now, just so you know, sometimes if I was gang running all this stuff, you know, with a whole bunch of other products, then I would go to Pant, or I'd go to Starbucks or whoever it was, and I'd go, hey, is it cool if I dial that in as a Pant, is a 4-color mix, which means it's never going to be exactly their thing, but sometimes they'd go, yeah, it's fine, whatever, for that product, whatever, it's fine. And I could save a little money on a plate. So they're not burning another plate. Okay. And sometimes they'd say no. And so then I'd have to put that spot color in there. Okay. And then the spot color generates another plate, which is a little more money. Okay. Whenever you're working on a project, I don't care what it is, 99.9% of the time, it's on a tight budget and pennies matter. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what happens sometimes is people come in here and they go, hang on. They go, yeah, this is a really cool palette, wherever it went. Hang on. Now I get this. So a lot of people will go in here and they go, and I get it. They'll go, oh, there's a lot of nice colors in here. And they're sort of, familiar with each other in these groupings. That's kind of helpful. And they'll go in here and go, okay, I like this. And then that means that I like this, because they're analogous basically, or just a darker value or whatever. And maybe this one, I'll go in that same family and I'll do that. And that's fine. Okay. But now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spot colors. Does that make sense? Actually, probably 5. Okay. Nobody. Okay. So let's say that this gets past you making that giant screw up and it gets to the pre-press guy. Okay. The pre-press guy. Pre-press guy is the person who sets up the file to go to the press. So in other words, they're looking, it's called ripping software. It gets ripped and it goes to the press. Okay. Have a good relationship with the pre-press person, because if you don't, because they're going to catch your screw ups like that. Like they're going to come back and go, you've got 5 spot colors in here. Do you want that? And you'll go, oh, no. I don't want that. Actually, I just want the Pantone 142 to be a spot. The rest of it convert to CMYK. Do not do that. But if you use the Pantone thing, then you should be able to come here to edit, I think. Edit colors, convert to CMYK. And now when I click these, you can see now it's got a CMYK mix breakdown. Make sense?
Yes.
So if you don't want those to be on there, but you want to play around with this palette, make sure you convert those back to CMYK, and it's going to be, sometimes it'll be right on, sometimes it'll be slightly different. It's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
And what that corresponds to is, usually I do this in class. I do it with a loop, but obviously I can't do that. So let's go. So if you're looking at a magazine or something, and you're looking at something like that, which looks like a continuous tone image. It just looks, obviously like a photograph. Okay. This is actually what's happening if you looked at this through a loop, which is a magnifying glass, basically, right?
Interesting. Wow.
You're getting a spray pattern. And if you look in this pattern, there's yellow, cyan, black, and magenta. Now, how that pattern is sprayed on there is how you get a continuous tone looking image. You get a little pattern, a little spray pattern on a microscopic level, practically. And that's what creates, this is a good example. So you can see in here, this part of it, the mix is magenta, yellow, and a little black. Over here, it's got a lot of black, a little cyan, so on and so forth. Out here, it mostly, again, has just yellow and magenta. Over here, it's mostly like magenta, black, and a little yellow. So most of this is just magenta, black, and yellow. Okay, so it's a little spray pattern. This is another good example of it. So there's your cyan, there's your magenta, there's your black. So I always find this fascinating that it's this little tiny spray pattern that creates this thing that looks like a perfect kind of photographic image. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, here's partly why that's important. And you guys need to take a print technology class, and they'll dive into this way more. If I type in to any search thing, Adobe color wheel. So color wheel, just put Adobe in front of it. I will get this. Okay. Now, you have to sign in. If you want to use you can use this without signing into it, but it won't have the full, you won't be able to save things and stuff. So you have to sign in just using your Adobe information. Okay. Now, what it gives you here, again, look, here it is again, analogous, monochromatic, triad, complementary, split complementary, double split complementary, square, whatever, analogous. Let's go to analogous. And now I have this. Now I can move these around and it will automatically change my palette right here. I can also tweak them down here. You can see all the different mixes for each individual color. Does that make sense? And this is RGB. So over here, I can go, and it doesn't give you, does it? That's weird. It doesn't give you a CMYK. So I'd have to convert it. That's weird. I always thought it did. Anyway, then it has all these different things, just like the other one. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, that's a cool website.
Yeah, it's really cool. It used to be incorporated into, I think, Photoshop, various Photoshop Illustrator. I know it used to be incorporated into Photoshop. For some reason, they put it as a standalone now. What I like about it, there's a couple different things. Like I could go extract gradient, grab an image, and it makes a gradient out of this image. Okay, and then I can save it. Now it doesn't save in a it doesn't let you use it in Illustrator, but I could just screen grab this and make a thing. Or I could grab this and it has my CMYK mix right there. If you notice right there on the 1, 2, 3, 4th down. So I could just screen grab that, go in there and just dial in that mix if I wanted to do that and make a palette out of it. But does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
So if I hit save right here, then I could pull it up in Photoshop, in different programs, okay? But let's go to extract theme, which is one I really like a lot. So it made a palette based on this photo. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's cool.
It's way cool. Okay, so this is one of those things, because again, you're always in a crazy time crunch, okay? And if somebody goes, hey man, let's say it's package design again, they go, hey, they want to just this client just called and they want to do like a real nice spring thing or a real nice fall thing, and I go, okay, and this happens all the time, and I'll go, all right, what are we looking at? And they go, oh, they want to see something by the end of the day, which is infuriating, but it happens. Okay, then I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go find me something, some imagery that I go, I really like the feel of that, and I'll make a palette out of it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, I'm on colorful right here. So if you look over here, I can go to bright, and it'll pick the brightest colors. It'll pick muted, deep, dark, and then none. I don't know what none is. So let's go back to colorful. Now, I can also move like one of these around and sort of dial them in, and play around with them, right? Let's see the color wheel if we go back to color wheel. Yeah, so now I've got it on my color wheel. See that? So now I could come in here and go, well, maybe I'll push that blue a little paler like that. And I'll pull this one down and do a little of that, and I can kind of see where I'm at on the color wheel. Does that all make sense, you guys?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really handy.
Yes.
So how you do this, by the way, is you go, when you come here, I don't know why they make it like this. The first one I just went to was extract gradient. Now I'm extract theme. Let's reload this whole thing. Hang on. So let's go to extract theme. And all I have to do is take my image and drag it on here. And again, I can move these around and so on and so forth, right? I don't like that. Let's go to there, I guess. I like that actually. All right. Then I can go save. It's okay. Now I already made a thing called Mike. Okay. So then if I go here, to libraries right here, this is libraries, which is in under your palettes, under Windows. There it is. You see it?
That was quick.
So here's my library, your library, whatever that is. And so here's my library, Mike. Now you can also go in here. So let's do this real quick. So I want to take this, this one, and go add theme to swatches. I right-clicked it. Now I'm gonna go to my, there it is. Now it's got its own folder in here, and that's that little palette. And I could double click this, you know, and rename it. Fall package theme.
How do you get that out of your swatch panel without deleting it entirely if you want to make room for other stuff?
Well, I don't think you really need to make room for other stuff.
So you just keep adding.
Yeah, I mean, I can go in and under libraries, and I can go delete. And if you notice down here, it's just like your layers thing. There's a folder, there's adding elements, and then here's the trash, and I can just throw it away. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, another thing I like that for, you know, because we're always doing stuff to the house and things like that. So if I was doing an interior, I could go extract theme. I could find an interior that I think is kind of interesting, and I could create a palette based off that. That's really nice, a handy thing.